Kia ora. Hello, I'm Jess. I'm a digital technology teacher, and I'm here today to teach you a little bit about the coding language Scratch. So I've been using Scratch for years. I was originally taught how to use Scratch by students that were about the age of 8. So kids just like you taught me how to code. So anything that I'm showing you how to do, you can definitely do, no matter how old you are or what your experience is with coding. So Scratch is a coding language, and you can use it just using a browser. A browser is any type of thing that you use to get on the internet. So any type of program that takes you to the internet. So Firefox is a browser, Chrome, Safari, Opera, Microsoft Edge. Those are all browsers, and you can use them to get to Scratch. Firefox is the browser I use, so I'm just going to open that up. And then up here, I'm going to type in the URL. Here in this box, I'm going to type in the URL, and that is scratch.mit.edu. The URL is pretty much like the address for a website. That's how you get to the website. And so we're just typing in scratch.mit.edu. And this is the Scratch website. You can create an account if you want to save your projects and remix other people's projects. You can do that by clicking Join Scratch. If you already have an account, you can click Sign In and just sign in from there. But you don't need an account to use Scratch. It is helpful, but it's not required. So for me, I'm going to just go over to Create. And this creates a new Scratch project. I can close the tutorial. Don't need that today. The tutorials can be helpful if you want to try to do some new projects. So this is the Scratch screen. So over here, we have code blocks. There are heaps of them. Scroll down and see all of them. And you might notice that your code blocks are all different colors. And I'll get to that in a second. But keep that in mind, code blocks are all different colors. So over here, you have your sprite, and our sprite is Scratch Cat right now. And so you pretty much use code blocks to control what's happening in your game. So you can make your sprite do different things, you can create scores, heaps of different things can be done with code blocks. So you can just grab a code block from over here and drag it, drop it. And I'm going to grab another one. I'm going to put 2 code blocks together. So I have one green flag clicked and move 10 steps. And now they are together. When you have more than one code block, it's what's called a script. So this here is now a script. A script is pretty much like a recipe. You can't go out of order, or you could have disastrous results. Like if you just stuck the pan in the oven with no batter in it, you probably want to get a cake. So it's the same thing with scripts. So scripts are a set of ordered instructions like a recipe. And here it says when the green flag clicked, that's the first thing that's going to happen. Somebody's going to click the green flag, move 10 steps. So let's see what that does. So if I come over here to the green flag, press it, and my cat moves. So let's say I want to make it move farther. So 10 steps isn't very far. So I can change the number of steps that Scratch Cat is moving. So I can say 35. Press my green flag. And now he's moving farther. Or I can go really crazy and say 150. Now he's walking very fast across the screen. With code blocks, like I said before, we have different colors. Different colors are different categories. So we have our motion blocks that controls the way that a sprite moves. We have our looks that controls the way a sprite looks or what's happening to it. So you can add like filters to make it all swirly if you want. Our sound, event blocks, control, sensing, operators, and variables. There is my blocks, but that's very advanced. And I've been using Scratch for many years, and I've actually never had a need to use my blocks. When looking for code blocks, it really helps to think about what you want to do and what category it might be in. So if you said, oh, I really want to make my cat make a meowing sound. So because you know the sound is the name of one of our categories over here, you would probably want to start looking for the code block for sound in sound. And you see right here, the very first one says play sound meow until done. So I'm going to drag that over here. And now I can press the green flag, but nothing happens. Every single script always need what we call an event hat. To go to event hats, you click on the events category. And event hats are any event block that has this little hump at the top. So I like to think about it like a baseball cap. So I'm going to drag over when green flag clicked like we used before. And when I press the green flag, it makes a meow sound. But I can also change it. It doesn't have to be the green flag. There could be another way that I can start that sound. I can remove that one, and I can add when space key pressed instead. Let's try it now. So now if I press the green flag, nothing happens. But if I press the space bar, it meows. So you don't have to use the meow sound. You can create your own sounds. So I'm going to go to record. So just click on the drop-down menu, select record. You need to allow it to use your microphone. And earlier, somebody suggested that I should make a roar sound like a lion. So we're going to try that again. Roar. And we can play it, see what it sounds like. Roar. Cool. So if you don't like it, you can press re-record and try again. But I'm happy with it, so I'm just going to click save. And now I have my sound down here. You can change the name of it, so I can say roar. And then you can go back to your coding tab. And now, whenever I go to the drop-down menu for play sound, I have the option to choose my roar. Now let's try it. I'm going to press the space bar. Roar. Roar. There we go. So that's how you can create your own sounds in Scratch. So something completely unique, it's totally original because it comes from you. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is I'm going to show you how to change the way your sprite looks. So every single Scratch project starts with the sprite being Scratch Cat. And Scratch Cat's cool, but you might want to come up with your own thing, or maybe you want to change the way Scratch Cat looks. So in order to do that, make sure you've clicked on the sprite that you want to change the look of, and then go up to costumes. So in the costumes tab, you can either change the way that your sprite looks. So I can use the brush to create a lion's mane. Let's see here. Get some brown. Yeah, that looks good. Clicked on the brush, so I can go in, sort of draw a mane. Not sure if my mane looks that good, but it's okay. You get the idea. Doesn't have to be pretty. It's not art class. You can also, like I don't like how this bit of mane is in front of the cat's face. So I can select it and I can press this button here. It says backward. And it will take it to the back. So it's no longer covering his face. You can do that with all of them. You can also just press the back button to immediately send it to the back like that. Cool. And I actually kind of like this bit, I think, towards the front, so I can press forward, bring it forward a bit. There we go. Cool. But let's say I don't want to use Scratch Cat. I want to use my own brand new sprite. I can come down here to where it says choose costume, and I can press the paintbrush. And pressing the paintbrush allows me to draw my own thing. And you can use circles, you can use rectangles, the paintbrush, you can use the fill tool. It's up to you. I don't know what I want this to be. I haven't thought about it. Maybe just a ball. A ball with a silly face. Looks a bit like a bowling ball, actually. It doesn't look so much like a face. That's okay. There we go. Cool. So now my sprite looks totally different. I can now go back to my code. And if I press my space key, roar! It still does the same thing that Scratch Cat did. So even though I changed the way it looked, I didn't change the code. The code is still here. I can also add another sprite. So maybe I want a different silly faced ball. So I'm gonna, you can choose, so what I just did there was I clicked choose a sprite, and that took me to a bunch of sprites that exist that some other people created. But I wanna create my own because I like to be creative like that. So I'm gonna just click back, go back to choose a sprite, and I'm gonna press the paintbrush. So yeah, maybe this one will be green. And maybe he'll be quite more like long. And maybe I'll make him grumpy. Maybe he's not having a good day. Then I can go back to my code. Now here, if I press the space bar, roar, it still makes the noise, but my code's not here. That's because my code goes on sprite 1. So now I can create new code for sprite 2 if I want. So for sprite 2, I can say, when this sprite clicked, I make a noise. So I'm gonna go to sound, grab the code block, play sound pop until done. And now what happens is if I click my sprite, and if I press spacebar, roar. Now if I change this one, so this is sprite 1, my pink ball, if I change this one to say, roar, when the sprite clicked, roar, it works just like the other one. However, if I press the green one, it still makes the popping noise. So if you put code on a sprite, then it goes along with that sprite. So if you put code on the pink sprite, it won't change how the green sprite code works. So that's all you really need to know to get started with Scratch. You don't need to know a lot of code, but what you do need is to have the ability to work through your mistakes. So if you start feeling like it's just not working and you get frustrated with the code, that's fine. Mistakes happen. It's okay to feel frustrated. But what you need to do is just stop and think about what you're trying to do. Ask yourself some questions. Say like, okay, what am I trying to do here? Why isn't it working? What can I do differently that might make it work? And you might not get the correct answer the first or even the 5th time that you try, but eventually you will. So just keep at it and keep coding. What you're really doing here is changing your brain so that you think like a coder. And it's really awesome whenever you finally do start to think that way, and you will get there. So first step of being a coder, work through your mistakes. Don't let them get the best of you. So for the next week, I do have a challenge for you to create an instrument and code it in Scratch. So this instrument should be unlike anything we've ever seen before. It should be completely original and unique. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to come up with your sound effects. So what will your instrument sound like? I mean, it could sound like mine, which was just a roar. And so it could be using sounds that you would hear in nature, or maybe sounds that you would hear around your house. Or you could come up with crazy sounds that are like just totally weird. Like see what you can make, what sounds you can make with like with your mouth, with objects that you find. Like just get really creative with it. So first thing is sounds. The second thing is how will your instrument look? So you could do a piano, but we've all seen pianos. They're pretty boring at this point. Come up with some crazy thing that nobody has ever even imagined and draw it in Scratch. And the third thing that you need to think about is how will people be playing your instrument? So for my instrument, it was that you clicked on the different circles and that made a sound. But it doesn't have to be that way. It could be that you press different keys and it makes a sound, or you press one thing and something else makes a sound. So get really creative with it. I'm sure you're gonna come up with something absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to see it. Until next time, bye.